Mufa, thank you for the gift of everything you provided us. Mighty Father, we are going to have a facilitation. Give us knowledge, give us wisdom, and let us end it successfully of being able to pray in believing and trusting to get them through Jesus Christ our Lord.
Amen. Okay, we're starting. My name is Mr. Godfrey. I'm going to facilitate you in Jog 2, and I've researched and posted out of work. So during your free time, you can download and revise that work. Hope you can hear me. So we're going to start by looking at the topic of tourism, because it is the easiest to do. So we have those questions. The first question is, to what extent have the physical factors favored the development of tourism in any one country in either Western Europe or East Africa? Or they can ask, in quotations, the development of tourism activity is largely due to the availability of tourist attractions. Then they say, with the reference to specific examples from either South Africa or USA, discuss the above statement. Now, if they ask such a question, the first thing you have to do is you can define tourism as an economic activity, which is also an invisible export, where people move from one place to another for leisure, study, curiosity. So you have the definition of tourism. I'm not going to go into details. So you define tourism. Well, I'm giving you the approach. You begin by defining tourism. Choose a country. In this case, you can say, now you don't underline the country. After the definition, straight away you start. For example, if you chose Switzerland, you can say Switzerland is one of the countries in Western Europe that is with a highly developed tourist sector. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing? Are you getting me?
Yes, we are getting you.
Okay. So you say, you define tourism, you say Switzerland is one of the countries in Western Europe with a highly developed tourist sector. Then you tell us the major tourist attractions. You don't give all, but pick out the major ones. For example, I can say the major tourist attractions include the Alps mountain, which are glaciated. Then I can also talk about the attractive drainage features. For example, lakes like Geneva, Constance, Lugano, Maggiore. I can talk about rivers. I can talk about the climate, which is the winters and the summers. So you don't give everything, but at least you pick out the major ones. Then you tell us the tourist centers. The major tourist centers include, you give us the towns, Lugano, St. Maurice, Geneva, those tourist towns. So basically, when you're giving your introduction, define tourism, choose a case study, then give us the tourist center, the tourist attractions, the major tourist attractions, give us the tourist towns. Sometimes if you have the status, you can give it. For example, you can say tourist contributes to this percentage, but if you don't have, don't give. So basically, your introduction shouldn't be so big and should be brief, but make sure you talk about the location. Tourism refers to this and this. Switzerland is one of the countries in Western Europe with a highly developed sector. The major tourist attraction include, you give. The major tourist centers, you give. Now, because the question is saying to what extent, after the introduction is supposed to be one paragraph. Don't separate those points. It's supposed to be one paragraph. Then in a statement, in a paragraph, say, to a larger extent, physical factors have favored the development of tourism in the following ways. So after your introduction, since the question requires a standpoint, go ahead and tell us, to a larger extent or to a smaller extent, Physical factors have favored the development of tourism in Switzerland in the following ways. So you look at all the physical factors. When you're done, then you write another statement. You say, however, other factors have also favored the development of tourism as can be analyzed in the following ways. Then you give the role of human factors. When you're done, you conclude. Then question number 2, the development of tourism activity is largely due to a bit of tourist attractions. Can someone unmute? There's feedback. I don't want to. So the development of tourism activities is largely due to availability of tourist attractions. With the reference to specific examples from either South Africa or USA, discuss the above statement. This is a two-sided question. It needs the introduction, the same introduction we gave. Then after your introduction, repeat the statement. Repeat that statement. Say the development of tourism activity is largely due to a bit of tourist attractions as can be analyzed in the following ways. Then give the role of tourist attractions. When you're done with giving the roles of tourist attractions, write another statement. Say, however, other factors have also favored the development of tourism as can be analyzed in the following ways. Then when you're done, conclude. Have you gotten that? Can I get some feedback whether the approach is clear?
Yes.
Is the approach clear?
No, we are not understanding you, sir.
I've said, for question number 1, begin by defining tourism. You get? Can you respond? You begin by defining tourism. Are you there? Are you getting that?
Yes.
Yes.
Then from that, go ahead and choose a country. Now, the country is supposed to be in that paragraph. Immediately after a definition, say, for example, if you've chosen Switzerland in Western Europe, choose one country. Say, Switzerland is one of the countries in Western Europe with a highly developed tourist sector. The major tourist attractions include the Alps mountain with glacial features such as Pyramidal Peak. You get, drainage features such as Lake Constance, which is with clear blue waters, Lake Geneva, Lake Maggiore, then with rivers like this and this. Then talk about other tourist attractions. Then you say, the major tourist centers include, give the towns, Geneva, Lugano, St. Maurice. You get. When you're done, since the question is saying to what extent, write a paragraph and say, to a larger extent or to a smaller extent, it depends on what you want to say. Physical factors have favored the development of tourism in the following ways. Are you getting? Yeah?
Yes.
Are you getting something? Can I get feedback? Hello? Okay, give me 2 minutes. Okay, we're going to continue. Give us 5 minutes.
Yeah. I have already deleted.
Can you see me now? You can't see me?
Ah, two.
Okay, listen to me. Are you listening? Okay, now I'm saying approach is, look at the screen, look at the screen. That's the approach. Are you seeing? So you define tourism. Are we together? Then you choose a country, then you locate it. Are you hearing me? Then give its major tourist attractions, major touristy attractions. Are we there? Then give the tourist centers. When you're done with that, that's what you do. You begin by defining tourism. After defining tourism, you choose a country, locate where it is found, give its major tourist attraction. People remove the, I'm getting feedback. So give its tourist attraction, then locate, then give us the tourist centers. When you're done, write a statement, a paragraph, and say, show the extent, show the standard, show the standpoint. Yes, Oppo. Oppo, you can ask your question. Oppo, ask. Oppo, ask your question, and Togota. Togota, can you ask your question?
Okay, so this is Butoguta.
Yes,
Our question
sir.
goes, if at all concerning the extent to which the factors have maybe favored tourism in any one of the European countries.
Yes.
Now, assuming they have specified the factor like to what extent has the capital favored the growth or development of tourism in like Switzerland. How do you
Okay,
approach that one?
I'm going to talk about that, sir. But are you hearing me clearly?
Yeah, we are doing so.
Okay, I'm going to answer that. Then Chihihi, ask your question if I can continue.
So we
Chihihi,
are asking, what if you choose the country first?
I'm not hearing you.
What if you choose the country first?
Okay, let me first discuss, then the rest will come, okay? Okay, now, so you've known, let's go to the core. Now, these are our factors. These are our factors. Now, how do you write your factor? You start by stating your point in a complete sentence. For example, the presence of beautiful sceneries. Now, for example, you've chosen Switzerland. I'm going to be talking about referring to Switzerland and Kenya. The presence of beautiful sceneries. For example, if I'm dealing with Switzerland, I'll talk about Alps mountain with glacial features such as Arret, circle. Are you getting it? Then you show how they attract tourists. These attract tourists from UK, USA, Germany, and you show why they attract tourists for hiking, mountain climbing, viewing, photography. If I was dealing with Kenya, I would say presence of beautiful sceneries, for example, Mount Kenya, which is glaciated. Mountain Kenya, which is glaciated. I will talk about the coastal landforms like coral reefs along the coast of Mombasa. I'll talk about the Rift Valley, the eastern arm of the Rift Valley. I would talk about active volcanoes like Long Nod, which attract tourists for mountain climbing, viewing, which attract tourists from USA, Germany, Britain for mountain climbing, hiking, viewing, full stop, and the factor is done. Then I would go to another point. These are physical factors. Presence of varied vegetation types. Immediately I give examples. I say tropical, like for example, if I'm dealing with Kenya, I would say tropical rainforest. I would mention places like Kisii, Kakamega. Then I'll talk about mangrove along the coast of Mombasa. I'll talk about mountain on Mount Kenya. And then I end up by saying which attract tourists from Europe, from Britain, UK, USA, for camping, viewing, nature walks, like that, and even research botany. If I'm dealing with Switzerland, I can say presence of varied vegetation types. For example, Mediterranean, temperate, alpine, which attract tourists from USA, Germany, for viewing, camping, nature walks, like that. That's how I attempt my question. So how do I attempt? I said the point, presence of varied vegetation types. Immediately, I give the type and example where it is located. When I say tropical rainforest around Kisii, Kakamega. When I say mangrove forest, I mention along the coast of Mombasa. When I say mountain forest, I would mention along. You'll ask your questions later. Let me first discuss. Then that question is done. Then I go to another physical factor, which is presence of varied wildlife. Then I would mention the animals. For example, if I'm dealing with Kenya, I would mention animals like leopards, giraffe, elephants, antelopes, cheetahs. Then I would mention national parks. If I'm dealing with Kenya, I would mention like Savo, Masabit, Masai Mara game reserves. I would mention those ones. Then I have to mention why do they attract tourists? I would say these attract tourists from USA, German, for viewing, photography, research, etc. Then if I was dealing with Switzerland, I would say presence of varied wildlife. For example, I would mention reindeers, foxes, skunks, woodpeckers, heron. You mentioned the birds and animals. And you mentioned the national parks where they are found. Then why do they attract tourists? For viewing, studying zoology, filming, making documentaries like that. Then I would go to the strategic location, and I would say the strategic location of Switzerland, for example, in the heart of Europe, has made it accessible to people from different countries like Germany, USA, Britain, which creates a large market for tourism activities. If I'm dealing with Kenya, I would mention the strategic location of Kenya along the coast of East Africa. So it is located strategically as compared to other East African countries like Uganda. So it is very easy for tourists to act from Europe, from UK, USA, Germany to access it, and that gives it an advantage. Then I would talk about the conducive. These are all physical factors. I'll talk about the conducive climate, also favor the development of tourism. If I'm dealing with Africa, I would say, for example, the hot tropical climate, which attract tourists from UK, Germany, USA during the winters to come for sunbathing. If I'm dealing with Switzerland, I would say the presence of conducive climate For example, I would mention the winters, especially around St. Maurice, Lugano, which attract tourists from Germany, France, for skiing, skating, sleighing, like that. Then if you are also during summer, it also attracts tourists from France, Germany, etc. for sunbathing along beaches, viewing beautiful sceneries like that. Then I would also go to another factor, which is attractive presence of attractive energy features. Then immediately I give, for example, if I was dealing with Switzerland, I would say, for example, Lake Constance, Lake Zurich, Lake Lugano. With then you would also give rivers like Ticino, Rhine, in which attract tourists from Germany, USA, France for game fishing, sunbathing along beaches, boat rafting, boat rowing, like that. If I was dealing with, for example, Egypt, I would say presence of attractive drainage features. For example, Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea. I'll talk about River Nile and Lake Nasser, which attract tourists, Suez Canal, which attract tourists from USA, Russia, etc. For what? For sunbathing, rafting, boat rowing. If I was talking about South Africa, I'll talk about the Indian Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. I'll talk about rivers like Orange. You get the point. Then I would also go, now when I'm done with physical factors, then for number one, I would say, however, other factors have also favored the development of tourism. Now that's when I come to the human factors. Which human factors? Of course, there are those ones, for example, diversity in languages. You tell us that they speak so many languages, for example, French, Latin, German, Swahili. You tell us around twice centers, like you give us the twice centers, which enhances the communication with the twice from France, Germany, etc. Then you go to presence of organized tour packages. If you're dealing with Kenya, they have Kenya safaris. They have, you talk about those companies which go to different countries and they organize different packages for tourists to come and visit. And this makes the process so convenient for tourists who decide to come in large numbers. Then you talk about political stability. When you talk about political stability, you say political stability around tourist areas such as you mentioned the tourist centers. Then you conclude your point by saying this attracts long-term investment. This enables tourist activities to go on without interference. And this also attracts foreign investors. Then you talk about the other human factors, like you know them. Now, I'm going to answer questions which you asked. So the first question you asked was, to what extent? The question is, to what extent is capital? To what extent? This is your question, to what extent? Okay. So, to what extent is capital, like someone was asking that, capital responsible for the development of tourism in any one country. Now, if they ask such a question, what you do, are you listening? Can I get one feedback to see whether you're hearing me? Can I get someone to say, to talk to me? Are you hearing me well?
Of course we are.
Yeah, now if the question says, to what extent is capital responsible for the development of tourism? What you do, begin by looking at all the human factors. Are you together? And see how you can relate them to capital. For example, I would start by explaining capital. the availability of adequate capital from government and foreign investors has enabled the development of twice activities. For example, they have invested in the establishment of hotels. They have invested. Now, you explain the role of capital itself. When you're done with capital, then you talk about capital. The availability of capital has enabled the training of skilled manpower, Then you explain that point. Now you bring in labor point like that, who work as this and this in area, and you have to explain your point. Then capital has talk about capital. Capital has enabled. Availability of capital has enabled the development of modern infrastructures. Such as you explain. The development of capital has enabled the development of modern infrastructures, for example. Then you bring in the point of capital that way. Then capital has also enabled the use of modern technology in tourism. For example, when you go to Switzerland, it has enabled the modernization of transport routes. For example, the use of electrified railway system, the use of cable cars, the use of sky lifts. Are we together? Then availability of capital has enabled publicity and advertisement to take place. Publicity and advertisement to take place. For example, through use of internet. Are you getting it? The twice attractions in Switzerland, in Kenya have been advertised abroad. Then availability of capital has enabled the marketing research to be carried out. So basically what you do when they ask such a question, whether it is fishing, when they say to what extent has capital favored the development of fishing, look at the human factors you can relate to capital. Look at technology. The availability of capital has enabled the use of modern fishing equipment. The availability of capital has enabled the use of modern storage facilities. The availability of capital has enabled the training of skilled manpower. The availability of capital has enabled marketing research to take place. The availability of capital has enabled the use of modern fishing technology. For example, the use of automatic feeding robots, echo sounders. If it is a forestry, so it's basically get the factors relate to, if they say to what extent has modern technology favored the development of any of those economic activities. Look at the human factors, technology in terms of market research, technology in terms of preservation, technology in terms of processing, technology in terms of transportation, technology. So that's how you deal with those points. Hope I'm very clear there. I want to continue. Am I clear? Hello? Am I clear on that question?
Yeah.
Okay, give me 2 minutes. Let me come. Okay, we're continuing. So the other question, the development of twice activities is as a result of the availability of twice attractions. The availability of capital is the availability of twice attraction. The development of twice attraction is largely due to the availability of twice T attraction. Then they say discuss. Has someone tampered with my screen? Can't scroll. Okay. So the availability of the development of twice activities is largely due to the availability of twice attractions. Now that question, you have to, after giving your introduction, repeat the question. Now, give all the twice attractions, including the human twice attractions. Don't talk about only the physical factors. For example, you would put culture, you would put industries, you would put towns, you would put those things of music, dance, and drama. You would put those things, transport routes. So give all the twice attractions. So you give the physical twice attractions. You also give the human twice attractions. When you're done, that's when you say, however, other factors have also favored the development of tourism. Hope I'm very clear there. Okay, wait a minute. So we're going to look at that. We're going to go to forestry now. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Let's come back. Hello? Can I get one person to give me a feedback if you're hearing? Okay, let me continue. Now we're going to look at forestry. Now, before you do forestry, you need to have those examples. We have to have those examples. So for Brazil, you need to know the location in your introduction. For example, a question on Brazil, I'm going to give you the questions, don't worry, or let's have it. Okay, so let's have the question. The development of forestry activities was largely due to physical factors. That's the question. Then they say with the reference to either Gabon or Brazil, discuss the above statement. The development of forestry activity was largely due to physical factors. So when you're giving your introduction, you begin by choosing the country. Of course, you can define forestry. If you don't know the definition, don't define. So just say Brazil is located in South America with the largest tropical rainforest. So you tell us the location and the type of forest that is there. Then you say the major forested areas. The major forested areas, you give the Amazon forest, Acre, Mato Grosso, Amazonas. So Amazonas. A moment.
my screen that asks me to zoom in, so I'll just be
So
sharing.
you'll be sharing, yeah. Okay. So now that's what you give in your introduction. You have to tell us Brazil is located in South America. You tell us the type of forest that is there. Some are raising their hands. Okay, let me first look at them. Magi seed SS. What's the problem? And St. Luke. Magi, St. Luke. I can see your hand up. Okay, let me continue. So when you're giving the introduction for forestry, tell us the country, choose the countries. Don't, some of you write the country and underline, no, put it in a paragraph. Brazil is located in South America with the largest tropical rain forest. The major forested centers include, you give those ones, Amazonas, Acre, Mato Grosso, Pará, Rondônia, etc. Then you say the lumbering centers include Sao Paulo, Porto Alegre, etc. Then you give us the tree species that are there. So that introduction is enough for forestry. You can go to, it's not scrolling. Okay. Then DRC, if a question was about DRC, you would tell us that DRC is located in Central Africa with large areas of tropical rainforest or equatorial forest. Then you give us the introduction. You give us the major forested areas include, you say Kasai, south, Kasai in the south, Oriental, Kasai in the south, Equatorial, Bandundu, Oriental. Then you tell us the major the major forests. There is, you have Ituri, Stanley, etc. Then you tell us the tree species that are there. The tree species that are there. Then you're done. Then Ivory Coast, you research. Gabon, everyone has Gabon, located in South Africa with an equatorial forest. The major forested areas is along the coastal strip between from Cocoa Beach of Libreville to Setecama. Then the major forested areas you have Owendo, Mawonda, etc. Then the major ports or the major lumbering centers you have Port Gentil, Port Owendo. Now, why these examples? These are the examples you're going to be using in your paragraphs as you're explaining. Then you go to, now these are tropical rainforests. Now, when you go to Canada, Canada has temperate forests. So you say it is located in North America with the temperate or coniferous forest. Then you tell us the major forested areas. Then you give us the tree species. I'm very fast, okay. No, you'll find this document. I can't leave you to copy because I have to discuss a lot of things. But this PDF is going to be put there. You can download it. So you talk about Canada. You talk about the ports, the types of trees that are there. Now for Canada, we have temperate forests. So don't talk about your mahogany and what. Here you talk about spruce, cypress, etc. Then you go to we have Sweden. Now, Canada, Sweden, Norway, Finland, they have exactly the same factors because they have exactly the same, forest, type of forest. The only difference there is that for them, the only difference is the examples you give, but they have exactly the same. So you'll download this file and see the examples. I can't go through the examples. So we have that question. I gave you a sample. To what extent have the physical factors influenced the development of forestry in Brazil? Of course, my introduction is so big, but as you're giving your introduction, just tell us Brazil, where it is located, the type of forest it has. Those are the most important thing. Then you tell us the major forested areas. You don't, even if you don't go into details of telling us the acreage, just tell us the major forested areas, then the tree species, then the lumbering centers. Once you give that, then that is done. Now, after giving your introduction, you state your point, the point like that. To a larger extent, physical factors have favored the development of forestry in Brazil in the following ways. Now, don't number your factors, paragraph them. Okay. So they're going to share for you the file and the WhatsApp number. So when you're, after writing the extent, go to the point. Don't say equatorial climate. They don't mark that in paper to write a complete statement. The equatorial climate characterized by heavy rainfall of over 1,500 millimeters, which is reliable and evenly distributed throughout the year, favors the growth of commercial tree species, mentioning them in areas such as, you give us the areas which are highly demanded for their products, such as wood, furniture, which attracts large-scale investment. So make sure your point has those things. Equatorial climate, give us the characteristics. Tell us it favors the growth of commercial tree species. Give us the examples. Where, then tell us which commercial tree species are highly demanded for their products, such as which attracts large-scale investment. Then you go to the next point, presence of valuable commercial tree species. Immediately give us the examples of the valuable tree species. Don't put a full stop, just say presence of valuable commercial tree species. For example, mahogany, ebony. Where? Give us the areas where they are found. Then tell us why they are demanded, which are highly demanded as a source of furniture, plywood, sawnwood, etc. Hence attracting large-scale investment, leading to the development of forestry. Then you go to another point, which is sparse population or low population. You tell us the areas that are sparsely populated. And you give these areas have been left for forests. You give us the example of the area and the point is done. Then you say presence of many rivers. Give us, you have to have examples of the rivers. If you're dealing with the Gabon, give us the examples of rivers. If you're dealing with the British Columbia, give us the examples of rivers. Like which rivers? Skena, Skating, eh? If you're dealing with the Amazon, give us the Brazil, give us River Amazon. If you're dealing with the Norway, give us the rivers such as Namse, October, Lagen. Give us those rivers. Then tell us why these rivers are important. The enable is a transportation of light logs. They are just floated on water. They are also involved in the generation of hydroelectric power, which is used in the running of industries. Then go to the relatively flat nature of the landscape. Give us the areas which facilitates the construction of transport facilities and also the construction of wood processing industries. Then when you're done with the physical factors, write that statement. However, human factors have also favored the development of forestry in the following ways. But now this one of this is soil is physical. I accidentally put it in human factors, so you put it the other side. Then the other factors, we have hydroelectric power generated from rivers, Amazon. Tell us the role of power. Have a bit of adequate capital provided by companies from Europe and government. Tell us the role of capital. Don't just say it is used for purchase of modern forest lumbering equipment. You give us the equipment. It is used for setting up of wood processing industries. So you explain your point. So you must have a point and explanation, example, and then you have to relate. For example, what do I mean by relating to the point? This increases forestry production. Then the use of improved technology, which involves felling of trees using power-driven saws, processing of trees into different products. You give us the areas. Make sure every point you give has areas. I'm very fast because I have to discuss a lot of things. So you'll get, you go back to the file and you get more. So you talk about skilled labor, presence of skilled labor from the French, and also the local people from the areas, mention the forested areas, tell us what they do. They do selection, fading, trimming, hauling, timber processing. They're also involved in forest conservation, which ensures quantity and quality. Now, by saying this ensures that quality and quantity output is realized, and that's more investment. That is relating my point to that question. Then you go, the points are there, improved transport. You give us the transport systems that are there. For example, we have the Trans-Gabonian Railway, we have rivers, like that. Then you go to large market, you go to favorable government policy. Now, when you go to favorable government policy, you have to mention the policies, the real policies. For example, for Brazil, they have signed concessions agreement with large companies, with large lumbering companies to carry out lumbering in their countries. They have maintained political and economic stabilities. They have tried to attract foreign investors. They have invested in the construction of transport routes. Then the development of timber, the development of timber, wait a minute. Okay, the development of timber-based industries, what do they do? You mention. So those are the points, but you can add more points, but make sure you don't write below 15 points, and they have to be well explained, 15 and above. Make sure your points are explained. There is that question. The exploitation of tropical rainforests is largely due to environmental factors, with the reference to specific examples from either from Africa or tropical discussed. So when they say environmental factors, they mean physical factors. So I'm not going to repeat this because those are the questions, those are the points we've been explaining. Then you give the role of other factors. So when you're done with that, now the difference between tropical rainforests. Are you hearing me, people? Can I get one person to tell me whether you're hearing me? One of you unmute and give me a feedback. Am I clear there? Are you hearing me? Okay. So there is this question, account for the development of forestry industry in any one country, in Scandinavian country. Now, Scandinavian country, we have Sweden, we have Finland, we have Norway. Like I told you, begin by locating. Sweden is one of the Scandinavian countries, together with Finland and Norway. Now, that is the status in Sweden. About 50% of the total area is covered by forest. Give us those forested areas, central, northern, for example, the Norland and the Lappland. Give us the type of trees that are there. They have coniferous forest. Give us the tree species. We have pines. Under pines, we have Scott pine, Norwegian pine, we have larch, we have firs, we have beech, etc. Then they have rivers. Of course, these rivers help them in the transportation of logs. Then we have wood processing centers. Between, if you want to get 25 out of 25, at least you have to give between, around 18 to 20. But if your handwriting is not, if you're so slow at writing, you can give your 15 points, but well explained, and give your conclusion, you get your 25 points. So the good thing, I gave you this file and things are well explained. Now, the issue is, what is funny is that what favors tropical rainforest in tropics does not exist in the temperate forest. For example, in Africa, we have good climate, heavy rainfall, which favors the growth of forests. But here, for them, they have rugged mountainous landscape. Like they have mountains with the rough stones and what which do not permit any other economic activity. So such areas are left for planting of forests. You give us areas. Now, because you have the examples, keep mentioning those examples in every point. Then we have here the temperate climate with the warm summers and mild winters, which favors the growth of commercial tree species. Mention those tree species, which are highly demanded for their products, such as sawnwood, softwood, furniture. Then you conclude your point, which is to increase production of forest resources. Then these are physical factors, the infertile and thin soils, which does not permit agriculture, but permits the growing of trees, has favored the development of forests on large scale, which favors large scale exploitation in areas. You mentioned the areas. Then have a bit of extensive land. For example, over, okay, this one is British Columbia, but you go to and look for examples as rushing to make for you these notes. You remove British Columbia and get those areas where you have forest activities in Norway. Then presence of many valuable tree species, mention them. Why are they demanded and where are those forests found? Then go to the homogeneous nature of trees. Now, when you talk about homogeneous nature of trees, you say that these ones occur in pure stands, which make their location, selection, and hauling of logs easy in forested areas. Make sure get the other examples you have in your introduction and feed them in your point. The trees are light in weight. For example, give us the examples of those tree species and which makes their transportation very easy on rivers. The trees are of short gestation period. Give us the tree species, the years they take, which makes constant production on a sustainable basis possible. Then presence of many fast-flowing rivers. Then when you're done, you go to the human factors. Of course, when they say capital, what's the role of capital in forestry? Explain, give us at least 2 roles or 3 roles, and give us the source of capital. Then from there, you go to skilled labor, presence of skilled labor, from where mention the towns of that country. Tell us what they do. Then go to modern technology. Give us examples of technology, use of tractors to haul logs, use of bulldozers, use of power-driven saws, and mention the areas where those things are. Presence of large market, tell us for what? Yes, you can conclude. Then, so those are the points. You read through them. They are very easy and they're well researched. I gave you 17 points. Now they can ask you a question. Write it. I don't have it here. It says, the exploitation of tropical rainforest is largely limited by the exploitation of tropical rainforest is largely limited by physical factors. The exploitation of tropical rainforest is largely limited by physical factors. Discuss. The exploitation of tropical rainforest is largely limited by physical factors. Discuss. Now, if they ask such a question, of course, you give the introduction. The introduction is always the same. Define forest resources. Give us the areas. Tropics, give us the areas of the tropics. They weren't so specific with the countries. So you can say Gabon, Congo, Amazon, Brazil, like that. Then tell us the type of forests that are there, tropical rainforest. Give us the forested areas, some forested areas. Of course, it covers Congo area around Ituri. It covers Cameroon area. It covers, so give us those areas. Give us the tree species that are there. Then state that very point in a paragraph. The exploitation of tropical rainforest is largely limited by physical factors, as can be seen in the following ways. Now, look at the factors favoring the development of forestry in these developed countries. The opposite in tropical countries. For example, the physical factors that are there, one of them is you talk about the climate itself. The climate, the harsh tropical climate, you look at the heavy rainfall, very cold temperatures, which limit for lumbering activities. You give us the areas. Now, someone is asking how many marks are awarded for the introduction. They mark, now when they are marking job 2, they mark out of impression. They don't award marks, but this is for introduction. This is, they look at your introduction. Does it have the country? Have you located the country? Have you identified the type of forest? Have you identified the forested areas? Have you identified the lumbering centers? Have you identified the tree species? Have you stated the standpoint? Are you stating your point very well? Are you explaining it? Are you putting examples? Are you relating it to the question? So they look at that and the number of points, then they come up with the marks. They don't say, for the introduction, you are giving this. No, that's not true. So let me continue. Now, when they say to what extent have the physical factors, you look at climate, the physical factors, harsh, it's kind of jungle, very cold, heavy rainfall, limit for lumbering activities. You talk about the nature of the trees. They can also ask you a question. The exploitation of tropical rain, write that question also. The exploitation of tropical rain and the exploitation of tropical rainforest. The exploitation of tropical rainforest is largely limited by the nature of tree species. The exploitation of tropical rainforest is largely limited by nature of tropical tree species. Now, if they ask that, whenever they put discuss, discussion is a two-sided question. So you give your introduction, repeat that very statement, give how the characteristics of the tropical rainforest limit their exploitation. For example, when you go to the temperate forests, they occur they are homogeneous in nature. They occur in pure stands. Come to Africa, the trees appear mixed. So can you turn those points? Now, to get the problems, turn the factors into negative. If the homogeneous nature of the tree species is a location, selection, and fading of trees, then the appearance of trees in mixed stands or heterogeneous nature of forests limit location, selection, and fading of trees. So just turn the point. What? Of course, when you explain your point with example, if you don't explain your point and you give so many points, you can get between 0 to 9. If you explain your points without examples, you can get from 10 to 14. If you explain your points very well, you are assured of a 25, between 20 to 25. That's an excellent answer. It's part of the conclusion is part of the essay. So now you just turn these factors, the characteristic, you look at the characteristics of temperate forests, you compare them with for example, when they say coniferous logs are light in weight, then you go to your temperate forest. So these are heavy and bulky. Then you look at how that point is explained. When the trees are light in weight, how does that help? They are easy to float on water. If they are heavy, what happened? Are they easy to float? No. So you put that point that way. Then you look at another point. When you go to the temperate forest, they have a short gestation period. Now come to the tropical rainforest. If they're asking to what extent are the characteristics of the tropical rainforest, do they hinder the exploitation? You just say the trees have a long gestation period. Give us examples of those trees. Where? Then, if they are of long gestation period, if this was of short gestation period enables sustainable exploitation, then the other one of short gestation, of long gestation period hinder sustainable exploitation. Then you go to the rivers we have in Africa. They have waterfalls, they have rapids, they have rock outcrops. So that one affects Then you talk about the presence of pests and diseases. Then when you're done with that, then you say, then you say, however, other factors also limit. Now, to get the problems, get your factors very well and turn them into problems. For example, when you talk about a bit of adequate capital, just turn it as inadequate capital. Now, look at the role of capital. If capital enables the establishment of wood processing industries, if capital enables the establishment of transport infrastructures, if capital enables forest conservation, then where it is inadequate, it limits construction of wood processing industries, it limits establishment of transport infrastructure. So you just turn the factors into negatives. For example, where I have supportive government policy, you turn it as limited government support. Where we have developed a bit of developed transport system, you turn it as poorly developed transport system. And instead of explaining in support, then you just turn and explain in when you're not favoring. We don't draw sketch maps in Jog 2, especially when it comes to SC. Maybe what I didn't tell you, in section A, we don't explain. In section A, we just write one sentence. For example, they can say, after drawing the graph, they say, assess the importance. You can even say positive importance, say source of government revenue through export. That's enough. For section A, we don't explain. And you balance. If they say assess the importance, say positive importance, you can give like 6. Then you say negative importance, you give like 6. We don't explain in section A. I'll get time for statistics. Today, I came for SCs. So let's go. It's only in section B where we explain. In section A, we don't explain. Okay, I'm continuing. So they can also say the development of forest activities is largely due to human factors. That will mean that you start with human factors. If they say the exploitation of tropical rainforests is largely due to environmental factors, so that means you give the environmental factors. So let's continue, and we go to another topic. Hey, write this question: distinguish between boreal and silver forest. Distinguish between boreal and silver forest. Silver is S-E-L-V-A. Boreal and silver. So you need to know that silver. Then they can also say distinguish between low latitude forest and higher latitude forest. Distinguish between low latitude forest and high latitude forest. Now, when they tell you to distinguish in Jog 2, unlike in Jog 1 where we deal with one item, then we say on the other hand, here we compare. For example, let me give you 2 answers. You can say, for example, tropical rainforests have tree species of long gestation period. For example, you give mahogany, ebony, around, they can say around maybe Mato Grosso, Congo forest, etc. Then you say, on the other hand, or whereas temperate forests have tree species of short gestation period of between maybe 5 to, or between 10 to 15 years. Give us the tree species, give us examples. They say temperate forest tree species, for example, no, tropical rainforest tree species such as mahogany, ebony, have tree species with broad leaves to reduce water, to reduce excess water through transpiration. You give us, for example, in Congo, Cameroon. Then you say, on the other hand, temperate tree species have tree species with needle-shaped leaves. For example, pines, eucalyptus in areas. So that's how you compare. That one is done. So let's go to another topic. So the factors influencing the development of forestry in the physical factors influencing the development of forestry in temperate forests are completely different from the factors influencing the development of forestry in tropical rainforests. So don't mix them up. So then they can also ask this question. You get the file, don't worry. They can also ask this question for Swaziland. They can say, examine the causes and effects of forest depletion. That one you can do, you read, it's very easy to discuss. Then those ones are very easy. I'm not going to talk about them. So they can say, with the reference to either Sweden or Swaziland, account for the development of the forestry industry. Now, if you make a mistake and you say Swaziland has tropical rainforest, the whole number will be crossed wrong. So you have to be clear and you have to say that Swaziland has man-made forest or planted forest. And you tell us that it's located in Southern Africa, sorry. And it has, you tell us the forested areas such as Great Usutu, Pig's Peak, Mondi Peak. So mention those areas. Give us the tree species, for example, Pinus patula, Pinus taheda, give us those ones. Now the factors are there, you can read them, but make sure you don't confuse. You don't confuse. It is clear that it has temperate, no, it has planted forest. So you read about those factors and see what to do with them. Unless someone has a question on forestry, let me unmute. So you can ask questions on forestry, then I go to another topic. You're free to ask. We don't draw sketch maps in JOG 2, maybe in statistics, but we don't draw sketch maps in JOG 2. The introduction serves as the sketch map. So don't waste your time to draw a sketch map. So ask questions before I go to the next topic. Now, thank you for asking. Who is this? Mubende Ame, you asked a very good question. If they give a question, for example, they say account for the low levels of development of the forestry industry in either Sweden or Gabon. Now, never and never and never do a question on problems and you choose a developed country as your case study. Whenever they bring a case study, whenever they ask a case study on problems, always choose a developed country. Because when you choose a developing country, there are some points which will not work. For example, all developed countries have skilled labor, they have developed transport, they have modern technology, they have all sorts of, so those points will not work. So whenever they ask about problems, always choose a country which is developing. How can I get a soft copy? Okay, the facilitation is going to be online. You can download it. Don't worry, you can download it. A conclusion is your personal view. According to your view, which factor? So your personal view. In your view, which factors? You can even say, in my view, in conclusion, human factors have limited the exploitation of forests, and that's enough. Okay, I need people who have put up their hands, ask your question. You can even ask. Yes. Yes. Mubende, unmute and ask your question. Maseruka Gauss, ask. Bukedi College Kachonga, ask.
Good evening,
Ask.
sir.
Namas. Yes, good evening.
My question is, the characteristics of tropical rainforests are largely responsible for their limited exploitation.
Yes.
Examine the validity of the statement with reference to Congo Basin or the Amazon Basin.
Okay, with that question, we begin by giving an introduction. For example, if you chose Congo, you'd say Congo is located in Central Africa, and it is blessed with a large expanse of tropical rainforest. Give us the equatorial, the forested area, Ituri, Bandundu, Equatel, Kasai. Give us the tree species that are there. Give us the lumbering center. Then state the statement the way it is. The statement says, state it now.
So I have even another question.
Now listen, you state the point, then you give the role, how the characteristics of tropical rainforest limit. Like the trees occur in pure stands, or they occur in mixed stands. You show how that one limits. The trees are bulk and heavy. You show how that one it limits. The trees have buttress roots. You show how that one limits. The trees after that, then you say, however, other factors also limit. Are you together? Yeah. Let's go to the next question.
Yes, sir. Another question, sir.
Mm-hmm.
To what extent do we give a standing point and conclusion?
The question which requires standpoints, even that one of discussing, we can say the questions which have to what extent you give a standpoint. Are you together?
Yes.
The questions which say
and the conclusion.
Yes, conclusions you give, and then the forest which say the question which say tropical rainforest characteristics have largely limited. They have already given you the extent. So you just repeat the question, support, then after supporting, you say, however, other factors. Okay, let's go to other schools.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Other schools, Nama. Okay, Can I get more people asking before I go? Okay, so let's go to fishing. Oh, you're still asking. Masieruka, Bukedi College, Nama, Sene, why Oxford?
We would like to know how the status is awarded on the question.
Now, in JOG 2, we don't give the status like JOG 3, but we just say maybe like in Japan, fishing contributes 50%. That is enough. But it's supposed to be within the introduction. But if you don't know, if you're not sure, don't give it. Is it okay?
We are not sure, we didn't give it.
Yes, if you're not sure of the status, don't give it. Just go. For example, we're going to fishing. When a question on fishing, just define fishing. If you don't know how to define, choose a country. Say Norway. Are you seeing that table?
Yes.
I'm giving you how they give introduction. Norway is located in the Northeast Atlantic fishing grounds with many fishing grounds, which include, you give Norwegian Sea, Barents Sea, Norwegian Trench, etc., and rivers. The major fish species you give us, you talk about the major fishing ports, and the introduction is done. Is it okay? Yes. Go to Sweden, tell us where it is located, the major fishing grounds, the major fishing ports, the major fish species, Maybe method, if you know the status, you can say maybe Sweden is a Scandinavian country in the Northeast Atlantic with a highly developed fishing sector, which contributes, if you know what it contributes, but if you don't know, don't give. Are you together?
Yes.
Okay, so those are examples. You look at them during your free time. And to prepare for this, you have to look through and get, now as you're revising, make sure you get all these examples because you don't know the country that is going to come. Are you seeing the examples? So you download that document and get those examples. Now, let's go to how they write. This is the easiest topic. So make sure you get everything in it. Write for me this question. Now here we're going to, let's write this question. I might forget them so that you remind me when I forget. The first question is, to what the development of fishing industry, was largely due to physical factors. The development of fishing industry was largely due to physical factors. Close the quotation, right there, discuss. The second question, to what extent has climate favored the development of fishing in any one country in the Northwest Pacific or South Atlantic? To what extent has climate favored the development of fishing activities in any one country in the Northwest Pacific or South Atlantic? Then another question. To what extent have ocean currents favored the development of fishing in either USA or Japan? To what extent have ocean currents favored the development of fishing in either USA or Japan? The last question, examine the extent to which physical factors, not physical factors, examine the extent to which modern technology have favored the development of fishing in either Norway or Peru. Okay. So,
Peru.
Yes. Now, there's a year they asked about Angola. That's why you have to get those examples, Peru, Chile, Ecuador. Now, what you should know is that you look for the fishing. Now, you need, the first thing, if you're to answer this topic, you need to know those fishing regions. For example, if they say Northwest Pacific and you put there Norway and Norway is not there, they cross the whole number. If they say Northwest Atlantic and for you put there a country which is not there, you would have failed everything. So you need to know those fishing regions. 2, if you know a fishing region and the countries that are there, they share the same factors. For example, if you go to the Northeast Atlantic, we have Norway, Sweden, Peru, Finland. They share the same fishing grounds. They share the same climate. They share the same fish species. They share this, apart from the ports and the fishing grounds. You go to Northwest Atlantic, we have Japan, China, South Korea. They share the fishing grounds, fish species, climate, ocean currents. When you go to South Pacific, that's why I have Peru, Chile, Ecuador. They share the same ocean current, Humboldt. They share the same fishing ground, etc. So now, if a question was asking to what extent have the physical factors favored the development of fishing, what you do just say presence of indented coastlines. Begin by giving your introduction. For example, I'm going to use Norway, or Norway, you know. Okay, Norway. And I'm giving my introduction. I would say, Norway is located is one of the Scandinavian countries that is located in the Northeast Atlantic fishing grounds. The major fishing grounds include the Barents Sea, Baltic Sea, Norwegian Sea, and the major fish species caught include tuna, cod, mackerel, sardines, and fish is landed on ports such as Tromsø, Trondheim, Stavanger, Bergen, and fish is caught using methods such as trawling, pass seining, etc. Then I say, if the question is said to what extent, then I write my paragraph and say, to a larger extent, physical factors have favored the development of fishing in Norway, as can be analyzed in the following ways. I start and say, presence of indented coastlines. Immediately I put where are those indented coastlines. You put the fishing grounds as your examples. On fishing grounds such as Norwegian Sea, Barents Sea, etc., which provide deep natural harbors for construction of port facilities. Immediately, I put the example of ports like Trondheim, Tromsø, etc. They also act as breeding grounds for commercial fish species such as tuna, sardines, etc., hence favoring the development of fishing. The point is done. Then I say the existence of a shallow continental shelf. Immediately I go on fishing grounds such as Norwegian Sea, Barents Sea. Then I say, which enables the penetration of sunlight for the growth of planktons, which act as fish food, hence leading to the multiplication of commercial fish species such as in fishing grounds such as attracting large-scale development. Then I go to another point, presence of many rivers. Immediately I put examples like Namse, Trondheim, Altana, Oktova, which act as breeding ground for commercial fish species such as tuna, mackerel, which attracts large scale investment. Then I go to another point, presence of extensive forests. I play around with the examples I have in my introduction. Presence of extensive forest around fishing ports such as Trondheim, Stavanger, or I can say around fishing, you get, which provide material for shipbuilding. For example, construction of trawlers, longliners. They also provide material for port constructions. They also provide packaging material, leading to the development of fishing. Then presence of unproductive land. Now, most of these fishing nations have unproductive land. When you go to Norway, it is mountainous and rugged. Go to British Columbia, it has Rocky Mountains and rugged. Go to Canada, it has Rocky Mountains and the Canadian Shields. Go to Morocco, it has Sahara Desert. Go to Peru, Chile, Ecuador, they have Atacama Desert. Go to which other one? So now the unproductive land drives people to fishing as the only source of livelihood. Then you go to ocean currents. Now this is where I'm going to answer the other question. To what extent have ocean currents influenced the development of fishing in Norway? Or let's look at Japan. So after giving you introduction, now the ocean currents, it depends on the type of ocean currents. Now, we have cold ocean currents. What do cold ocean currents do? The cold ocean currents usually are found in areas where you have deserts. For example, no, they can't say assess physical factors, but they can say assess the extent. Someone has said, when they say assess the extent, which physical factor, it's the same as to what extent. But they can't say assess the factors, no. Okay. So when they say assess the extent, it is the same as to what extent, but they can't say, there's no question which says assess the factors. Usually they say assess the contributions, but if they say assess the extent, you have to show the standpoint. Okay, now we're looking at ocean currents. I'm giving you examples. When you go, okay, let's look at the examples from here. Let's look at the examples of the ocean currents before you look at their roles. If you go to now Norway, Sweden, Denmark, they all share the same ocean current. They have the Northeast Atlantic Drift. It is called the warm Northeast Atlantic, and it is warm. How is it important? Those countries freeze, but it melts snow in those areas to enable fishing activities to take place throughout the year. So Norway, Finland, Sweden, they have the Northeast Atlantic Drift, which is warm. Then when you go to Japan, China, South Korea, they have two ocean currents. They have warm Oyashio and cold Kuroshio. Now, these two ocean currents do so many things. One, the cold one melt the snow during the winters to enable fishing activities to take place throughout the year. That's the first contribution. Secondly, when they meet, they create good conditions for the growth of planktons. That's the second point. Then three, when the upwelling, when they rise and when they go down and up, they mix oceans with the nutrients, which enables the growth of planktons. Then when they mix, they create conditions that enable the growth of commercial fish species. So you need, when they say to what extent are ocean currents, one, the cold ones melt, the cold ones cool the warm waters to enable the existence of planktons and commercial fish species. Please don't give a sketch map. Don't even waste your time. When you do a sketch map without an introduction, the best they can give is 1 mark. So don't give an introduction. Please leave out. You can even draw a wrong sketch map. Don't even bother drawing a sketch map. Then when you go to Canada, now Canada has two coasts. It has the Pacific coast where you have British Columbia and the Atlantic coast. So the Pacific coast has the it is called Alaska current, and that Alaska is warm. Then this Atlantic Ocean has two. The north, where it has the cold Labrador and the warm Gulf Stream. So the cold Labrador, they do the same thing. When they meet, they create good conditions for the growth of plankton. That is one. When they meet, they create good conditions for the existence of commercial fish species. That is two. The upwelling of the two mixes the oceans with the nutrients for the growth of planktons. Then the warm one melts snow to enable fishing activities to take place throughout the year. Then the cold one cools the water during the summers to enable the existence of planktons. Those are like 6 or 7 points. Then you go to other factors. Then we have British Columbia, we have USA, etc., etc. So now, if you look at my points, I have 12 points for physical factors. Smooth ocean flow, the existence of smooth ocean flow, in which oceans, in which fishing grounds, in Norwegian Sea, Barents Sea, which provides, which without rock outcrops, which enables the use of modern fishing methods such as trawling to catch large quantities of commercial fish species such as tuna, cod, like that. Then presence of many offshore islands. Offshore islands are islands that are in the middle of the oceans. For example, Loften, Vastirian for Norway. If you look at Japan, Japan is an archipelago with this made up of so many islands. You look at we go to British Columbia, you have Queen Charlotte, Vancouver. You go to Morocco, we have Canary offshore islands. Of what importance are these islands? They provide opportunities for deep sea fishing. They also shelter ports from strong winds. Then you go to presence of abundant commercial fish species. Immediately tell us which fish, for example. Now, never and never make a mistake in geography and say, commercial fish species, and you put a full stop, and then you explain. adequate capital, they don't mark that. Write a complete statement. Presence of commercial or availability of or existence of commercial fish species. For example, tuna, mackerel, sardines in fishing grounds such as Norwegian Sea, Barents Sea, which are highly demanded for their products such as fish oil, fish fillet, has attracted large-scale investment, leading to the development of fishing activities. Then presence of large fishing grounds or large water bodies. You give us examples immediately. Norwegian Sea, Barents Sea, which contain commercial fish species such as, you give us, which are highly demanded for their products such as, hence attracting large-scale investment. Then presence of cool climate conditions. For example, the temperate climate with the winters, which provide good conditions for the growth of plankton. That is one. Then two, the cool conditions also enable the existence of commercial fish species. Then the cool climate conditions also provide natural conditions for natural preservation for fish. For example, it provides ice or snow, which is used for preservation of fish. Now, this takes us to the point, to what extent has climate influenced the development of fishing? When they ask that question, to what extent has climate, look at the physical factors you can relate to climate. For example, the point of ocean current can be explained under climate. Now, there's another point which is physical, but we can turn it into climate. For example, are you seeing that point of shallow continental shelf? You can put it as the abundant sunlight or the abundant sunshine, which penetrates on the shallow continental shelf. So you explain that as climate. Then the point of rivers, you can put it on climate. The melting of snow on the mountains of Norway or on the Rocky Mountains provide abundant water for rivers. Then you explain the point of rivers there. Then the temperate climate favors the growth of extensive temperate forests. Then you explain the point of forest that way. Okay, first wait. We've not dealt, okay, thank you. We've not yet looked at the contributions, so first leave. We shall go to that. Then you talk about climate, cool climate, providing natural preservation, cool climate, enabling the existence of commercial fish species, cool climate. Then when you're done, what you do, you say, however, other factors. So other factors, you just look for the role, presence of adequate capital from the government and foreign investors. Tell us the role of capital in fishing. Explain the role of capital and then get ports and put them as your examples. Availability of skilled labor to work in fishing industries. Tell us, what does labor do? Then supportive government policies. Give us the policies. For example, protecting territorial waters of Norwegian Sea. Make sure you put the examples in whatever you explain. Make sure you involve the examples. Then many fish processing industries, like fish canning, manufacture of animal feeds, around fishing ports like this and this. Tell us the role of fishing, of what they do and how it helps. So the human factors, you'll explain them. So that is how they deal with factors. Now, let's write for me this question. Account for the low levels of development. Account for the low levels of development of the fishing industry in Africa. Account for the low levels of development of the fishing industry in Africa. So once they give you that question, what you do, once they give you that question, you begin by giving an introduction. Now, how do you give the introduction? You begin by defining fishing, or they begin by defining fishing. Then you identify the major fishing grounds in Africa. Now, the question is specific. It has said fishing, but the questions which are specific, which will say marine fishing. But because this one is specific, you're going to be direct. You say the major fishing grounds, you have the freshwater fisheries, which include lakes. You give us lakes in Africa with examples, rivers. Then we have the marine fisheries where you have oceans like Indian Ocean, and you tell us the areas where fishing occurs. But Indian Ocean fishing is limited. It is concentrated along the coast of Atlantic Ocean around the Maghreb, where you have Morocco, South Africa, like that, and West Africa. Then you tell us the fish species that are caught in those areas. Now, when you come to the problem, write a statement. The following are the problems that have limited the development of fishing. Now, we just turn the factors into problems. For example, where we have indented coastlines, you say Africa has straight coastlines. You give us examples where you have straight coastline along the coast of Somalia, Kenya. Now, can you turn those points into negative? Indented coastlines, which limit without deep natural harbors, which limit the construction of ports. They also limit on the breeding of fish. Then you say, the point of shallow continental shelf, how can you turn it as a point? Africa's coastlines extend for a few meters and then they become deep. So you have deep continental shelf. For example, along the coast of, usually give examples from the coast of East Africa. So if shallow continental shelf enables the penetration of sunlight, then this one limits the penetration of sunlight, and therefore it limits the existence of plankton. So you just turn the factors into problems. Like I told you, don't give problems for developed countries. Always choose a developing country whenever they ask about problems. If you choose a developed country, then you fail. Then rivers, you leave it out. Then forests, leave it out. Then unproductive land. If you come to Africa, we have the opposite. For us, we have productive land. We have fertile soils. We have heavy rainfall. So these favor agriculture, forestry. So many people have alternative land use. So people prefer agriculture, forestry too. So this limits the number of labor that can work. Then you look at the ocean currents. Now you notice that in Europe, ocean currents, cold ocean currents, occur where I have deserts. And warm ocean currents occur where I have snow. But what is funny along the coast of East Africa? The area is warm and even the ocean current is warm. That warm Mozambique ocean current. So this makes the waters warm, which limits the growth of planktons and the existence of commercial fish species. Then you look at offshore islands. We have limited offshore islands along the coast of East Africa. For example, apart from Zanzibar, Mafia, and Pemba, the whole of Indian Ocean does not have offshore island. So what's the role of offshore islands? They provide opportunities for deep sea fishing. Where they don't exist, they limit opportunities for deep sea fishing. Then we go to commercial fish species. When you come to Africa, you have limited commercial, we have limited fish species. Why? Because of hot climate, hot tropical climate. We have so many fish species, but of limited commercial value. Then when you go to cool climate, we have warm climate. So just turn. Now, when you go to the human problems, where there is adequate capital, it changes to inadequate capital, which limits investment. Then you say, where capital is used for purchasing modern fishing equipment, say capital limits the purchase of modern fishing equipment. Where capital is used for construction of ports, where we have inadequate capital, it limits the development of modern ports. So you just turn those human factors into negatives. Where I have skilled labor, it becomes inadequate supply of skilled labor. Then tell us the negative. This limits fish extraction. This limits fish processing, like that. Where I have supportive government policy, turn it into limited government support. Where I have many fish processing industries, turn it into little or limited fish processing industries, like that. So that's that about fishing. Can I have some questions before I can continue? Now, before we go to the question, they can say describe the major fishing methods. Those ones, I'm not going to describe them for you, but make sure you draw illustrations. Make sure I draw illustrations. Okay, first ask your questions as I rest a bit. Ask your questions. The copy is going to be there, or you'll download it. I left it as a Word document. So don't worry. Your teachers, you got your ICT teachers, and they will download for you those topics. Master, what's the difference between coastal fishing and offshore? Now, offshore fishing is fishing around islands that are far away, that are in deep waters. These islands are like 100 kilometers away from the coast. Then onshore fishing is along the coast. So ask your questions. Let me see. Unmute people and ask questions before I can continue. But as you're looking at, there's a sample of a question of how to answer such questions. You can look at that question. First, ask them to unmute. Where? So if I want to close. Okay. So ask questions as I rest a bit, but that's how they answer those questions. You're seeing that. To what extent have the physical factors influenced the development of fishing activities in any one country? You're seeing the introduction, you're seeing the extent, you give your physical factors, you're seeing them, explain them very well. Then when you're done, you write another statement. You say, however, the other factors, you also explain them very well. And you're seeing I have over 20 factors. Some of you give 12. When you give 12 factors, you get around a D. Okay, ask your questions.
Are the inland water bodies in Africa?
Yes, we have inland water bodies where I have fishing on lakes and rivers. Freshwater bodies like Lake Victoria, Lake Choga, Lake Nasa, then rivers, Congo, Nasa, River Congo, Nile, Limpopo, Orange. They also fish on canals like Suez Canal, like that. And they also have man-made lakes. Ask questions. Ask questions, people. Are you okay? Can I continue?
No, I have one question.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. I'm not hearing you. Unfortunately, I've lost you. Okay, I want 2 more questions as I take some water, then I continue. Akabwa, you can ask. I'm seeing Togota. Yes, I'm seeing St. Andrews, Samsung, Paicho. Your hands are up. Can you ask? Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
My question was about the the minimum examples I can give.
That is 3-3.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so you're seeing that first statement after my introduction. I have my stand. I think after my introduction, I have, to a large extent, physical factors have influenced the development of fishing in Norway. Then I give my physical factors that are over 11. Then, however, Then I give my other factors like that. Okay, let's continue. Assess the contribution of fishing. Someone is asking me that. Assess the contributions of fishing. Unfortunately, I thought I would draw for you a table and show you how to deal with the contributions, but I didn't have enough time. But what you do, you begin by giving us an introduction. You give the introduction. After giving the introduction, you write a statement. You say the following are the factor. You say fishing has contributed to the development of economy of Japan in the following ways, both positively and negatively. Now you start by looking at the positive contributions. Now let me give you the trick. When you say, now all these contributions, all these economic activities have the same contribution, exactly the same contributions. What changes are the explanations. For example, fishing promotes the development of industries by providing fish as a raw materials. Then tell us, for example, fish is used in manufacture of animal feeds, fish glue, cosmetics, drugs. Then you tell us the examples of the processing industries like fish canning, tell us the areas, then of what importance do these industries bring? They create employment. That's how you rate your question too. If it was mining, you say mining promotes industrial development by providing minerals as a raw material. Give us examples of those minerals and which industries, then show the role of industry. Forestry promote the development of industry by providing wood as a raw material. Give us the industries that are associated with the wood, then show where, then what do they benefit from. Tourism, now tourism doesn't, it promotes art and craft industry by providing ready market. Then generation of employment opportunities, either directly or indirectly. Now this one applies to all. For example, in fishing, can you identify the activities that create employment opportunities? For example, you say people are involved in fish extraction, in fishing grounds such as Norwegian Sea, fish processing, in fish canning industries around ports like this. So identify activities. Then conclude your point by telling us what do they earn from that. They earn incomes which improves on their standard of living. If you're dealing with mining, mining creates employment opportunities to the miners of gold, for example, at Witwatersrand land. To those who work in mineral processing industry, for example, diamond cutting at Kimberley. To those who are involved in mineral export, for example, of gold. Then what do they benefit from that? Forestry create many employment opportunities. For example, in a giant sawmill at Kango, tell us what they benefit from that. Tourism create, so the explanations are almost the same. Then you go to generation of foreign exchange. It just foreign exchange through export. If it is fish, if it is fishing, exportation of fish.
So far, is drinking water.
Come on, come.
Wala nang bituin.
Okay, we're continuing. Okay, Saint Anne, S.6, Honey. There's a student. There's Ayore Michael. There's. Can you ask your question, Renkombwa? Ask your questions. If I continue. Saint Anne, S.S. Chihani. Okay, we continue. So basically, when you go, if you know the contributions, you can do everything. You look at the, you look at the, you look at the, some are raising their hands, and how do you handle mutual factors? What do you mean by mutual factors? Be specific.
I mean mutual. That's scary.
Okay, let's continue. So generation of foreign exchange. Just know what is exported. If it is a fish, mention what is exported to where. If it is mining, mention the minerals. Where? If it is a forestry, mention the wood products to where. If it is tourism, just say it is since tourism is an invisible export. What tourists come from different countries to visit different tourist attractions. Then show us the role of that foreign exchange. To developed countries, it is used for importation of raw materials. It is used for importing modern technology. To developed countries, it's used for development of infrastructures and provision of social services. Then you talk about promotion of development of urban centers. Explain how, by attracting so many people for employment opportunities and by leading to the development of social services. Give us examples of those urban centers. Okay? Then show the role, what is the role of urban centers? They perform so many functions, and they also provide main services. You give us examples of those services. Promotes technological advancement. Give us the technology that develops. For example, in fishing, the use of automatic feeding robots, the use of echo sounders, the use of artificial breeders. And when technology develops, it is exported to other countries to earn foreign exchange. So these points are well explained. You go through them. Now, but that question is two-sided. You give the positives. When you're done, you say, however. Can you unmute? When you're done, you say, however, fishing has negatively
Never work a factor favored
affected.
fishing. Also,
Yes.
can say you give one, then you bring other factors. Those are chogezaho gam.
Explaining a point in the right
Okay, if they say to what extent is technology, to what extent has technology favored development? Okay, listen.
Direct you. Either the question is two-sided or one-sided.
Okay, can you unmute? Can you mute?
One like with the divorce.
Okay. Okay, ask your question and then unmute afterwards. Ask. Okay, unmute. If you can't ask. Okay, let's continue. So when you're done with the positive contributions, give the negative contributions of fishing.
We need first with definition, or we can start with the country or case study.
Okay, if you don't know how to define, just start right away. Like I've started. Japan is an outstanding fishing country, and fishing contributes 15%, but don't cram this. What is important is knowing the location, the status, it contributes 15%. Give us the fishing grounds, the fish species, the fishing ports, and that is enough. Then you write a statement to show that you're transiting to other factors. Then when you're done, you talk about those the positive, then you go to the negative. Okay. There is that question. Account for the low levels of development of marine fishing. Now, that is only marine. So you don't bring in your lakes, rivers. This is fishing along coasts of oceans. And so you give factors. No, you give low. When they say account for low levels, you don't give factors, you give problems. Am I clear there? When they say account for low levels of development, never give factors for development. You give problems. Hope I'm clear there. So the problems are there. We went through them, so I'm not wasting time there. Now we go to that question. Man is largely responsible for the occurrence of environmental degradation in Africa. Discuss. Man is largely responsible for the occurrence of environmental degradation in Africa. Discuss. Unless you have questions, some are raising their hands. Yo-Yo essays. Let me first see those who are raising their hands, then I continue. I don't want to leave you. Okay, let's continue. So we have man is largely responsible for the occurrence of environmental degradation. So define environmental degradation. Give us the different types of environmental degradation. Give us areas in Africa, but these are majorly towns, industrial centers, towns, mining centers. So you give those as your examples. Then state the statement the way it is. Man is largely responsible for the occurrence of environmental degradation in the following ways. So you explain your point, but your point should have how. Which effect does it have on the environment? How does that affect people or economic activities? For example, when you say high rate of deforestation, how does it affect? It destroys water catchment areas leading to unreliable water supply. So I'm not going to explain that because it is very clear. What you should do, just get that document and read that. Then when you're done with man, then you say, however, you write a statement. Those are all man's activities. When you're done, you give other factors. You give other factors because the question is saying man is largely responsible for environmental degradation in Africa. Discuss. The question is saying discuss. So first give the role of man's activities. Then when you're done, you say, however, other factors have also led to environmental degradation. So that one, maybe let me just do this. Just do this for you. So you arrange that before printing. I don't have time. Then we go to another item. So those are questions related to environmental degradation. Can I get approaches from you people? So unmute and give me approaches to those questions now. Can I have approaches? Because I've been giving you approaches. I need to know whether you know how to attempt. So can I get approaches to those questions, people? Unmute and give me the approach to number 1. Then someone is going to give me approach to number 2, number 3, number 4. Can I hear from you, students, please? Hello? I want to hear from you. Can I hear from you, people? Can you unmute and give me the approach to those questions? Yes? Please unmute and give me approaches to those questions. Number one, number two, just choose a question of your choice and give me how, if it came, how would you attempt it? I need to know because I wasn't going to talk about them. Yes, you don't know how to approach them? Okay. So number one, you define environmental degradation. Give us examples of or different types of environmental degradation and examples. So you'll be giving us mining centers, towns, industrial centers, because those are areas where environmental degradation takes place. Then state the extent, give the extent and show the role of man as a consequence, the role of man in the occurrence of environmental degradation. Then when you're done, write another statement, give the role of other factors. Then account for the environmental degradation in either Namibia or Sahel region. Still that one just give the introduction, choose a country, give brief introduction about it, give the causes, etc., etc. Okay, let's continue. There's that question. Now, these questions, environmental degradation, desertification, famine, pollution, there is always a question on those. So you can prepare, and these are questions which are very easy to understand. So if they ask you about famine, define famine, give us the areas that are experiencing famine. If the question is about Africa, that means you're going to be talking about Africa alone. Then after that, you give us the characteristics of famine or the conditions that are associated with the famine. That is starvation, malnutrition, death, such things. Then give us the causes. Of course, you have physical, and you also have human. So those ones you just read, they are well explained. And just read and explain. They're well explained, you'll understand, you read and get them. Then examine the measures that are taken to reduce famine. Even those ones, I'm not going to talk about them. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm not going to talk about them, but you're going to look at them and see how they are attempted. So that is it. Those are the measures. You know them. You download that file. So those are the questions that are related to famine. So read through them and ask where you have problems. Okay. So can you unmute and give me approaches to those questions, or you can't? Like that, the last question says, just as poor rainfall is not a single and direct cause of drought. Drought is not drought. No, that one is not clear. This one you can leave. Let's look at the single direct cause of famine. The single direct cause of famine. First wait. So this is a continuation. This is a continuation of this. So just as poor rainfall is not a single and direct cause of drought, drought is not the single direct cause of famine. Weichmann and Timberlake. To what extent is that statement a true reflection of the conditions in the So that one now, such unclear questions avoid because you can easily misfire. So desertification is there. Desertification is there. They can say account for the extensive desertification in Africa. You define desertification. You give the areas. Don't just define and go to the answer. Define, give the areas, give the characteristics of desertification, then put the statement. The following are the causes of drought. The following are the causes of drought. The following are the causes of drought. But make sure as you're giving your point, you give examples. Make sure as you give your point, you give examples. Don't just give a point and you leave it without examples, and avoid giving wrong examples. They give a wrong impression. So if you don't know the example, I don't know what you do, you do, but don't give wrong examples. Always give. So discuss the indicators of desertification. There's that question. Then they say, discuss the measures. You get this file and learn about that. Then those are the revision questions on desertification. Then there is that last question. There is that question. To what extent have the environmental or physical factors influenced the development of either New York Port or Rotterdam? Now, ports have the same factors, exactly the same factors. What differs are the examples. Be it Mombasa, be it Tema, be it Accra, be it where, be it Dar es Salaam. So you just give us the location of the port. You give us the hinterland it covers. For example, New York covers United States and Canada. Kenya, Mombasa covers the hinterland of Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. You look at, so you just give the hinterland, then give us the imports and the exports. Then after that, you mention the extent. Now the physical factors are the environmental factors and are the location factors. Where should natural harbors? You talk about low tidal range. You talk about ice-free conditions. You talk about topography. You talk about large and productive hinterland. You talk about strategic location, many water bodies, hard rock, strong winds. So those, we have 11 physical factors. Then when you're done, you go to the human factors. So 11, now they come 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So there are 20 points. Now, I've given you this as a case study, but you can look at other ports, Rotterdam, etc. Then you have development of conurbations. Conurbation is where towns grow, expand, and merge into each other. So you need to look at the Randi, where we have towns like the Randi conurbation, where so many towns like Spring, Johannesburg, Krugersdorp, Pretoria, like 6 towns merged and formed one big town. So if you know the factors for development of industries, they're almost the same. So just have the introduction, and that is it. So finally, let me have your questions, and we call it a day. When time allows, Okay. Let's continue now. Now, time for asking questions. You can ask questions. And we conclude our discussion. Ask questions and we conclude our lesson. You can talk directly. Hello?
Hello.
Yes?
Hello.
Yes, I'm hearing you. Ask.
To what extent have physical factors led the occurrence of famine within the tropics?
Can you repeat your question? To what extent have physical factors have done what?
To what extent have physical factors favored? Favored. To what extent have physical factors led to the occurrence of famine within the tropics?
Okay, so that question, define famine, give us characteristics of famine. That's when you talk about starvation, malnutrition, death. Give us areas in Africa, countries in the tropics. Is it okay? That is Somalia, Uganda, Kenya. The good thing, when you download the file, you see that. Then state the extent. You can say to a larger extent, physical factors have led to the occurrence of famine in the following ways. That's when you talk about pests and diseases, long drought season. You explain those physical factors. When you're done, you say, however, human factors have also contributed to the occurrence of famine. Then that's when you explain the human factors and conclude. And I have another question.
I have another question.
Yes, read loud.
Now, if they ask you to choose any country.
Yes, if they say with the reference to any country, for famine they don't ask for any country. They ask in general.
But let's assume it is another question.
Yes.
And they you choose any country. Do you put that country as a heading or you give it as an introduction?
You don't put it as a heading. Start in a paragraph.
Okay.
Norway is located in the Northwest Atlantic fishing grounds, Northeast Atlantic, blessed with a number of fishing grounds like Norwegian Sea, Barents Sea. The major fish species caught include this and this and this, and this fish is landed at ports such as this and this. Fish is caught using this method, full stop. Then to a larger extent, and then you continue. We don't need headings. We're answering exams.
Okay.
Another question? Okay, can I have more questions?
How many points?
From other people?
Right.
If you're done, you can unmute and then we hear from other people.
Sir, account for...
To what extent?
Account for...
Talk about the statistics.
Can you read your question?
To what extent is the transport responsible for exploitation of forest in the Scandinavian countries?
To what extent is transport responsible for the development of forests in, let's say, Gabon or where, okay?
Exploitation of
now, if they say transport, what? Okay, listen. If they ask for transport, first give your introduction very well. State the extent, you can set a lower extent. Now, talk about transport. Transport helps in the transportation of labor to go and work there. Transport helps in the movement of technology, modern technology. Is it okay?
Yes.
Transport helps in the transportation of logs. Transport helps in the distribution of wood products. Transport helps in the transportation of wood processing industry machines. Then when you're done, you say, however, there are other factors which have favored the development of mining. Don't forget this. In section A, we don't explain, we don't give introductions. But we choose the country with reference to any country, explain the importance. In section A, just get that country, write it, underline it, say the following are the positive importance. Don't explain, just give one line. In section A,
Okay.
is that okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
In section B, that's where we explain and give introduction.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Then they
Okay,
can
thank
also ask in section B. More questions? I want to hear from Tihihi, Sacred Heart, Chitenga, Mbarara, Amorata, Aisha Girls, St. Luke, Yo-Yo, St. Teresa, Amuria, Bukedia, Stateside, Edward, Chibale, Chisoko High School, Maogola, Queen of Peace, St. Denis Sebugao, St. Luke, Christ High School. Please ask your question.
Guza.
Yes? You have another question?
Yes.
Ask, please.
It says, when are you coming for start?
Statistics?
Yes.
I'm going to talk to, okay, first ask this one before I can continue. Okay. Yeah, asking a question. Answer this question. Answer. Just me.
We asked when shall you come for statistics?
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, for the other section, we are going to let you know when we can have it.
They're going to
We shall give.
Okay. Let's continue. More questions?
Next time, be slow when you're explaining.
Yes?
Next time, try to be slow when explaining.
I'm not hearing.
Next time, try to be slow when explaining.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I wanted to discuss out of things in a limited time. Imagine discussing all those topics in 2 hours.
Okay, understood.
So I made for you all those questions and their answers are there. So tell your ICT teacher to download for you those files and read.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir.
So the
Account
questions
for
are
the
done. Okay, let me ask you questions also. Distinguish between tropical lowland latitude forest and distinguish between low latitude forest and the high latitude forest. What does that question want? Distinguish between low latitude forest and high latitude forest. Yes? Okay. High latitude forests are temperate forests. Low latitude forests are equatorial forests. They are along the equator, which is a low latitude. Distinguish between selva and boreal. Selva is tropical rainforest, boreal is temperate forest. Are you getting something?
Yes.
Distinguish between, now in jog 2, when they tell you to distinguish, you compare. This is this, whereas this is this. This is this, whereas this is this. In jog 1, you talk about one item, and then you talk about the other. Then the other thing, if they say, with the reference to specific examples from British Columbia, describe the fishing methods, that is section B. Please first give the introduction of British Columbia, then describe the fishing methods. Am I clear there?
Yes.
So we're going to get a day for statistics because people concentrate on statistics and they fail section B. That's why I had to take this. Now, for every topic, make sure you have so many case studies. If it is fishing, get so many case studies: Angola, Namibia, South Africa, Maghreb. That's why I have Morocco. Try to have so many case studies. If it is tourism, have your case studies: South Africa, Egypt, those ones. Don't spot, read everything. So can I get the last questions? I need like 5 more questions, then I call it a day.
There is this one, sir.
Eh?
Account for the changing pattern in industry location of USA.
Account for the changing patterns in industrial locations in USA.
Oh, yes.
The question wants industrialization. It is about industrialization. Okay, but you need to know some status of it, but just define changing patterns, give us the distribution of industries in USA, then use the factors for distribution of industries and explain that.
Okay.
I'm seeing people putting up their hands. Chisoko High School, YY Okot Memorial, St. Teresa